Hi everyone and welcome to the Property Edge, Edge Recruitment's live market update for South Australia's property and real estate industry. My name is Peta Seaman and I'm the Managing Director at Edge Recruitment. On today's show, we'll be joined by Edge's senior recruitment consultants to unpack what's hot in hiring in the property and real estate industry in South Australia. We'll also take a look at the latest employment stats, the results from our latest social media poll, and the latest job opportunities across Adelaide. Let's get started with a very timely and practical conversation. What's hot in hiring? We're going to unpack exactly what's happening in the property job market right now, what roles are in most demand, what skills employers are really looking for, and which roles have been the hardest to fill. Whether you're actively job hunting, thinking about a career change, or just curious about where the market is heading, this is a conversation you don't want to miss. Joining me today are 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗶𝗫, Edge's real estate recruitment specialist, Kelly Armstrong, our property expert, and Taryn Widdows, our temp and government specialist, who will each bring their unique insights from the real estate, property and temporary recruitment spaces. We'll talk about where the opportunities are, what's driving the demand, and most importantly, how can you stand out if you're thinking about making a move in 2025. So let's jump in. Welcome, 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗶𝗫, Kelly and Taryn. Thank you for jumping on today. So I will start straight away into the questions. We're well into 2025. What are you seeing in terms of hiring activity in your space? And let's start with the roles that you've been hiring most in demand. I'll get you to start, Kelly.
I've had this year come across a lot of lease administration roles. We seem to have a lack of candidates in that area, and the lease knowledge, a lot of it has been going offshore, so we really lack that experience. Also, commercial property managers, I'm always in demand of those, especially in the middle range. There's a lot of people wanting to get into commercial property management, and then you have people that have 2 or 3 years experience, and then there's a big gap and it goes to like 8 to 12 to 15 years experience. So either people are leaving the industry or changing careers, I'm not too sure. And last of all, it's conveyancers. There's a real shortage of registered conveyancers in the industry, and people that are studying conveyancing, they're finding it really hard to get into the industry as well.
Okay, thank you for that. 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗶𝗫, what about your area?
Thanks, Peter. Obviously, residential property management are still one of the hottest demanded jobs in Adelaide, both experienced and for assistance. Sales support roles coming into the busy real estate world in September are also extremely busy, with lots of teams growing over this time. And temp cover is fairly huge at the moment because real estate agencies can't afford gaps when staff take leave. So really, residential property managers is probably the hottest job at the moment.
Yeah, sure. It has been a particularly challenging winter with cold and flu. So I'm sure that there is a lot of businesses really struggling with that temporary recruitment. So how about you, Taryn?
Really busy area, seeking people with high-level admin skills and database management, people that can coordinate interviews and meetings. The other area is mid-level project managers with strong experience in infrastructure and capital works. That's definitely an area of growth in my sector.
Yeah. Fantastic. There's definitely a lot happening in the property space in South Australia at the moment. Have any roles been particularly hard to fill, and what's been the challenging part about that? Kelly.
Going back to the last question, it is the skill set and people entering the industry that do the tertiary qualifications, them wanting an opportunity, companies giving them the opportunity. Sometimes having somebody that's fresh is the best way to represent the company because you mould them the way they like to be moulded for your business, and also that they're very eager and they don't come with bad habits as well.
Yeah, okay. What about you, Mary Jane? What's been challenging in your area?
Senior residential property managers, the property managers that have got experience somewhere between 3 to 5 years, they have been the toughest roles to fill at the moment. The job is obviously demanding. The talent pool is limited in South Australia. We need to find the right people with the right experience and the staying power to handle the pressure in these roles. Employers that offer flexibility, great culture, external training are the ones that have been really standing out for job seekers.
Sure. Thank you. And Taryn?
Yeah, so in my area, there hasn't been any particularly hard to fill. Always the people with a commercial leasing experience is always in demand, and finding the right people in those areas can take a bit of time. But I think sometimes for me, more the challenge is sometimes clients have unrealistic expectations on salary. So they'll find it more difficult to, especially perhaps with project managers, they might be getting higher salaries in the private sector, and so trying to attract people into roles where it's I guess under an award can be a bit of a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely salaries are on the way up, and there's a shortage of candidates, so that can definitely be a bit of a challenge. What skills or qualities are hiring managers valuing most in candidates for these specific roles? Kelly?
I would say definitely the skills. I mean, the key criteria in property is you have to have, all three of us consultants all agree, you have to have either your property management certificate, your sales certificate, or your property degree, or some formal qualification to even get into the industry. And a lot of our clients, unfortunately, they just won't look at our candidates, even if they have skills that can cross over, and they might have the right personality, live in the right area, present well, but if they don't have certain skills that match, especially when it comes to legislation, we just find it difficult getting them a role, definitely.
Yeah, so that skills is a real challenge to get people into. What about in the real estate area, MJ?
I think tech skills are on the rise, and they're becoming more important than ever with the new programs that are coming into play. Everybody is looking for particular candidates that have certain program experience. I would say something else that's standing out is having good communication and keeping everybody informed and building trust with around that. So that would be the main two that I could tell you at the moment.
Yep. Thank you. And Taryn?
Yes, so obviously in tech world, having the experience that they need is really important, especially because they don't often have time to train someone. When they need a temp, the person needs to be able to hit the ground running pretty fast. So they really need to have the right experience for the role and a positive work attitude. And good tenure in previous positions always looks good as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for those tips there. So let's go to Mary Jane now, who specialises in both temporary and permanent recruitment in the residential real estate space. Mary Jane, what are the most desired attributes and traits in real estate?
I would say positivity, staying power, and a genuine client-first approach. Real estate moves fast, and the ones that succeed very successfully are the ones that keep calm, juggle priorities, and still deliver great service to their clients.
Fantastic, thank you. And do you have any advice that you could give someone thinking about making a move within the real estate industry?
I would say when you go to an interview, know what matters to you, whether it's growth, balance, or the right team culture. Just don't jump at the first job offer that comes to your hand. Talk to different people in the industry, ask the right questions, and look for a role that aligns with your goals and values, and also aligns with the flexibility that you're looking for in your work-life balance.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll head over to Kelly now, who recruits permanent and temporary roles in the broader property sector. So Kelly, are there any gaps in the property talent or skills which are particularly in demand that seem to be in short supply?
I think across the board, it would be commercial property managers, getting them to shift in their skill set and go over. A lot of property managers can be wanting to move to agencies, but then they also like to work for owners. And then there's a real shortage of lease administration, as I mentioned earlier, that legal side, conveyancing. We're seeing a real demand in that area, and we just can't find that skill set. Personality, as Mary Jane mentioned, with AI, being tech savvy is a huge skill and a huge advantage to have. So we do need to look at that as well.
Fantastic, thank you. What would help candidates stand out in the current property recruitment market?
I think really being receptive, wanting to learn, wanting to upskill is really important. Getting involved, going out to social events, interacting with other property professionals in the industry, talking to other people that are in the industry where you might want to get into and you're not sure that it's the right area. Having a mentor, that can really help anybody in the property industry.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for those tips today, Kelly. And now to Taryn, our temp specialist who recruits across government, not-for-profit and community housing. Temp and contract roles continue to play a big part in how businesses manage workloads. Why do you think that is?
Businesses have got projects and work overloads that they need to cover, and using a temp can help with that, getting someone in place for those projects. They also need people for when they're recruiting for replacements, so they need someone in the role so they don't lose downtime. So they might have a temp and maybe even look at that person to consider in their recruitment process. And if they come to a specialist like Edge Recruitment, they know we've got strong networks and knowledge in our area, so we can find them people fast with really good quality skills.
Fantastic. Thank you, Taryn. Are employers looking for more flexibility or specific skills in temp candidates?
Employers are looking for a range of things in temp candidates. I guess the number one is always the right skill set, someone who can start with shorter notice ideally. However, for some roles, more senior roles especially, employers will always wait for the right person rather than filling a seat, so they'll always want the best quality and person available to do their role. But also the temp needs to have the ability to adapt and sometimes hit the ground running, understanding that they need to pick up some of the work fairly quickly.
Yeah, fantastic. So a bit of both. Thank you very much there, Taryn. Now, to all of you, if you could please give me a piece of advice to job seekers in the property and real estate space right now, what would it be? Kelly.
Yes, certainly. I would say be open to salaries. In particular, if you're entering the industry, so many people love property and want to get into property, but a lot of candidates that want to enter the industry, and with inflation and the cost of living, all those things, it is very expensive. But what they could look at is they got a job at a beginner's level that's paying a base salary of $60,000 plus super per year, but they're wanting to attract a salary of 80, they could always get a second job on the weekends just to compensate that. At a higher level, look at different areas of training, and also look at the kind of industry you want to work in as well, whether it be, as mentioned earlier, agency or working for an owner, for example.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your tip there, Kelly. Taryn.
Okay, so I would tell job seekers to always have open communication and be contactable. Check voicemails and reply to emails, even if it's a quick response with an update on your job status when dealing with employers or recruiters. Adelaide's a small place and courtesy and kindness is always noticed. Get back to people if you can, and it also shows you're serious about the job.
I bet you that speed's important in that temporary space as well. Thank you.
Definitely. And
Mary-Jane?
I think for me, it's preparation. Every time that you go to an interview, you go in looking at a new opportunity, having a clear picture of what you bring to the table and what you want going ahead in your career. Residential real estate is fast moving, so candidates who've got goals, they've got training schedules, are always one that is a step ahead when going to interviews, and that's what agencies really value and makes the candidates stand out as well.
Fantastic, thank you. And finally, for anyone sitting on the fence making a move in 2025, why might now be the right time? Kelly?
Well, as we all know, the property industry, even since COVID, it's just, it's always busy. It's fun. It's a very difficult industry to break away from. If people do, they normally come back into it. So I think there's great careers in the industry. There's a lot of upskilling involved. There's a lot of movement where you can go from residential to commercial, even temping if you want. There's so many different areas of property you can work in. So you can make a real career out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very exciting time for property at the moment. Mary-Jane?
I would say the market is extremely active at the moment. Like most years, residential real estate picks up beginning of September. So good people are in demand. So if you've been thinking about a change, it's a good time to explore options. Lots of employers in the South Australian real estate market are open to conversations in regards to flexibility, growth and culture. There's with most of the roles that we recruit, we're able to match people up with their career ambitions and their lifestyle to make it easy for them to step into the next role.
Fantastic. Thank you for your tip. And Taryn?
Yeah, I think exactly what Mary-Jane said. Good people are in demand, and don't be afraid to have a coffee with someone or a conversation. It's just information gathering. And I guess for job seekers, the best advice someone told me when I was a job seeker is persistence always pays off. Be patient, stay positive, and something really good will come along for you.
Great tips there. Thank you very much. So Kelly, Mary-Jane, Taryn, thank you so much for sharing your time and insights today. Your expertise across the real estate, property and temp recruitment has given us really clear pictures of the current recruitment market and what both employers and job seekers should be thinking about. Plenty of takeaways there to keep in mind, and still lots more to come in this edition of the Property Edge. So let's move on to the property report.
What do you love most about recruitment? What do you love most about recruitment? The thrill of filling an assignment. We get to speak to so many different types of people and put them into jobs that they might not necessarily have thought about for themselves or had the opportunity to gain in the past.
I had a passion for real estate from that moment, which led into a part-time job, which then led into my full-time job. Would I recruit for any other industry? Probably not.
Finding people the right job, listening to clients' needs, helping people to find their dream job, that's very rewarding.
To start this week's property report, let's look at the latest employment stats. Australia's jobless rate fell to 4.2% in July. This is a 1% drop, was in line with market expectations and the Reserve Bank's forecast. About 25,000 jobs were added to the economy, slightly higher than expected, and the participation rate remained at a relatively high 67%. Interestingly, female full-time workers grew by 40,000 across the country in July and double the amount of new male full-time workers, with the female participation rate reaching a new record high. Here in South Australia, ABS data put the unemployment rate at 4.3% in July and slightly above the national average of 4.2%. And total employment in South Australia reached another record high in July with over 978,000 people employed, showing strong year-on-year growth. Now for some insight from our recent social media polls. Whether you're hiring or job hunting, this is valuable. And we asked our followers how long they think a job interview should be. There was a tie for a top response with 30 to 45 minutes and 45 to 60 minutes coming in the highest. 23% of people think an interview should be completed in under 30 minutes. And interestingly, no one thought an interview should go for more than an hour. So this is something for hiring managers to take note of. And in this post-pandemic environment, after a gradual return into offices, we also asked our followers how long their typical commute to work is now. Almost half of the commuters travel 30 to 60 minutes, followed by 15 to 30 minutes for a quarter of the people, and a lucky 15% of people take less than 15 minutes to get to work. 15% are on the other end of the spectrum, travelling over an hour each way. Let's take a look at this week's hot jobs, presented by the 2025 Employment and Salary Trends Market Report. Get the latest insights you need to remain competitive, attract top talent, and align with the latest salary trends. Visit the Edge Recruitment website to request your copy of the market report. So the first job we have is the Property and Accounts Administrator. A well-established national retail business is seeking someone with a passion for property and finance to work closely with their head of property in this newly created part-time role over 25 to 30 hours per week. We have a senior sales administrator, support a busy sales team within their admin and client service in this fast-paced, rewarding full-time position. And a major projects manager, a 12-month contract role with full-time hours based in the Adelaide CBD. This role requires expertise in the development, implementation, and successful delivery of large, complex projects. These are just some of the jobs available now at Edge. You'll find the links to these jobs in the comments below. All our vacant roles can be found on 𝗪𝗏𝗏recruit.com.au. That's it for today. Jump onto Edge Recruitment's social media across LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram if you have anything else you'd like to add to these topics we've discussed today, to stay ahead of the job market and be the first to hear about any new property and real estate job opportunities across Adelaide. Thank you for joining us for the Property Edge. We will be back soon with our next edition to cover the latest market and employment updates across South Australia. See you then.